Hey guys, Sunstreaker Wozza here. Welcome back to another video with my good friend helping me out with this series is Tex. Thanks for joining me, Tex.
Yeah, good to be back. Was been a while since our last one.
Yeah, it's good to finish off this sort of series of Outpost bots. And like I said, it has been a while, but we're back on it again. We've been doing some different content, been covering a lot of the HU18 stuff. But yeah, if you're not seeing the rest of mine and Tex's videos on my channel, go and check it out, guys. We've covered pretty much every aspect of the game up to now. Once we've covered the Outpost bots, we're going to get into cores in the game, but there's not much we haven't gone through, so be sure to go and check them out, guys. But jumping straight into today's topic, which is outpost bots rated in the game, and we're looking at special bots today, which is a huge class. We've
Yeah.
got a lot of bots to get through today, Tex.
It's the biggest batch of the game, and it's probably got the most important bots in general for both attack and defense. So yeah, take a bit to go through.
Yeah. So straight in. Number one, first bot, Gnaw. So I know we've talked
Ooh,
previously. You're a massive fan
yeah,
of Gnaw. We've talked
such a
about the
good.
Gnaw versus Blaster thing, but that was obviously in attack. So where do you
Yeah,
stand defense wise?
yeah. Look, I don't think Nor's status has changed. He goes into godly. Simple fact is his SA can't be negated. You're throwing out four sharks, bump it up to SA 11. There's two more, and yeah, you've got seven bots to deal with, and with the high caliber DPS, throwing a Lionizer, uh, yeah, it's crazy how hard he can just maul a team to death.
So the big question is though. So obviously you're a Gnaw fan. I'm a Blaster fan. Who would you rather put in an outpost out of those two though? Gnaw versus Blaster on an outpost duty.
Would put a Nor up the top on that floating outpost, and I would put a Blaster down the bottom with the time trap. So look, it just depends on who else you've got to supplement with your combo, because defense is all about the synergy and playing to your plan of attack that you want to be attacked a certain way. So, I'd rather them struggle down the bottom, be struggling for time, come the top. Here's seven bots, right? Um, I'm a very stun heavy down the bottom, so I don't use Blaster, still don't have him, but if I did, I would, potentially use him. So I would use him in conjunction. So I'm a fan of him on defense because I know how annoying his G1 core can be. So yeah, look, I'd put them both. I couldn't pick one over the other.
So just jumping ahead, we could put Blaster and Soundwave in Godly as well. Do you
Uh,
think?
yeah, absolutely, because defense is a different kettle of fish when it comes to attack. We've got different offense styles, but I think you're going to find everyone in the game should have a pretty synced up defense mind, because we don't care how we stop people attacking. We just wanted to do it the most efficiently. And yeah, if you're looking to time out people, it comes down to do you time them out or do you kill them?
Impactor. So we've rated this guy, quite well in terms of attack, but outpost wise,
Look, I think I'd have him in the good, because high health, and when his SA is activated, obviously he's getting stronger. He's doing more damage to you. It's a bit like the whole Sentius. They're taking less damage, right? But they're still dealing more damage. Not godly, because this is a special attack that can be interrupted if you either distract it with a combiner, distract it with a hologram. Um, yeah, so not super great, but good enough if you've got a high 5-star version.
yeah, I mean he's high health. So I mean we talked about in the gunner class and air class about how a lot of them struggle because of their health. So once the ability was used, they were pretty much dead and buried. They were gone because of the low health. So I think we'll see a lot more outpost bots in the good section here because of that health is there
Yeah,
in the
that's
special
exactly right.
bots. So yeah, I like it for that reason. The ability is decent, like you said. But yeah, I agree. Skyburst and Onslaught. So I gotta really I hate this bot. I'm not gonna lie. It's my first ever 5-star and it's still at like level 62. I've never really used it. I just find it's very situational on attack. Defense the same. Very situational maybe, even with ability 11.
Yeah, the spread of the attack. It's like you'd be lucky to hit two missiles on one bot. Yeah, so you're basically looking at one missile per bot, and that's just terrible. Like I realize it can be overall, like the number you see, you go, oh, that's 7,000-8,000 attack. It's great for offense because you can collect and sort of whatever. But you've got to do some serious single bot damage or multiple AOE damage, and this bot just doesn't do that. Low health. For me, this is an awful defense option.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say at least bad, but for my hatred of her, I will gladly go in awful. Gladly. Next we've got Windblade and Dive Bombs. This is interesting because we talked about jets being quite awful in Outposts because you have to do high damage again, but they have low health. So Windblade's got that extra health. So does that mean that automatically she jumps up in the ratings?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd see Windblade as a bad option, and only because okay, it's a single bot attack, but it's going to tie you up a little bit more because when she lands, she has that shield, so it's going to take a little bit more of a time to kill her versus say Skyburst, right? So a little bit more health, but we're not looking at impactor level kind of tanky health. So
Yeah.
we're at the very bad end of special class here where the ability works. It's so. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's not awful. So that's why bad it is for me.
Yeah. Afterbreaker and Flame War. So obviously really good bots on attack. Used a lot by low level players. But again, defense.
Probably bad. Now it's not awful only because I mean I have run into a few of these on defense, and people who might take out an FFD core and be like, sweet, now I can put tracks down. This will negate tracks still. So there's an element of it can work, and it's a pretty long timing ability as well, right? And then if you've ever encountered these sort of bots, some of your bots or even combine it can be chasing after breaker. It's like stuck in a glitch kind of thing. So this is one of those bots that potentially, use the glitch in your favor, but health wise, pretty average. Has a melee stun because it's a scout class, kind of special scout class, whatever. But yeah, so it can be an annoying bot, but it's not super powerful, so it's not doesn't even reach good for me. So bad is pretty appropriate.
Yeah, I think if the ability lasted longer,
Oh yeah,
maybe better. But like I said, it negates the when the FFD's gone, you can use him for that reason. But it's what 10 seconds the ability, something like that. So
yeah, it's not super long. No.
yeah. Grapple and Dirtbag.
Put straight away in awful.
Really? See, I was thinking along the lines of Rook. Rook was considered quite good, on offense because of his HP and Grapple. I mean, I don't use him like I said at all, but really that bad?
Only because it can attract, or it's designed to attract attackers to the mine, but the explosion damage isn't Rook level. Yeah, the health isn't super high, and pretty low DPS. So it's not you could. I'll bump it up to bad for you, but it's not.
Yeah, that's my debate.
High.
Is it awful or is it bad? I mean,
have you ever encountered a grapple?
No, but that doesn't mean that is awful though. There's plenty of bots I've not encountered. But does that mean that Mind Wipe goes in godly then? Joe, because people use it? Well, maybe I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm more inclined to put bad. I think that attraction can be useful. I agree about the mine not doing enough damage, and I said that in testing. But that, of pulling the bots in to a specific region, then I think that could be used in a decent way. But maybe a kill box or something. But yeah, definitely not enough damage. Slash and Ripper Snapper.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in good. It doesn't reach the godly levels that it once probably had in the HQ 16 days, where you were worried about because it could be targeted, right? That's invisible.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Back in the day, this would have been the #1 bot, straight in godly, no discussion. But yeah, I just think that with the amount of healing in the game and amount of HP now, Slash just isn't as good.
It just doesn't reach godly level for me.
Hmm. Hoist and Crankcase.
Uh, Awful. In terms of, I mean,
Yeah,
what are you healing? You're not healing nothing. You're not really.
it's not enough healing.
I mean, you could, healing and speed up. That's the ability, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
I think we've had this discussion when it comes to like the Inferno types or the like are you helping the defenses do more damage? But I don't think Hoist would do that either. The range is not good, as so we're in an age now where things are so spread out that you're probably going to have like one defense or two defenses and a couple of resource buildings. So it's just not effective enough.
Star Saber and Defosaurus. Interesting.
Mm,
Interesting.
I don't,
I don't think going awful.
no,
You can't.
no, no. I was borderline bad to good, but I'm gonna say
Yeah.
bad. It's a pass bot. It's the same as Slash, right? With HQ16, we saw the slashes, the sabers, the jazzes. You know, now like they're not great options. There's so many better options that everyone's chasing. That yeah, saber no 5-star, so it's another 4-star only
Mm.
option. So
Well, I was just gonna
yeah, no,
say, do you sort of tie Star Saber and Alita together? Because they're both sort of high
no,
damage, a lot of stun in an area. For me, Star Saber's the same. Like if you hit a whole team, that could be
yeah.
pretty devastating. It's a lot of damage for a 4-star even. If you hit
I
one bot, and it's the same for Alita. If you hit one bot, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really fussed. If she hits my whole team, I'm like, oh, that's quite a bit of damage.
Now there's only one difference here, and that's the cause, right?
Ah, yeah, true.
Alita, her Alita armor is the only reason she supersedes Saber on top of being a 5-star version. So, look, and she has SA11. So, who's not to say though? Saber 5-star, SA11. What does he produce? Yeah, does he now become a new op bot that is useful? Potentially, we don't know because that's not available yet to us. So, I think he's borderline good. I really look forward to seeing how they eventually pull the trigger, and because for so long they said we're not going to have 5-star Saber, and I'm like, that's just a matter of time.
You
Let's be
need to.
honest.
You
So
need to. It's been
yeah,
too
it's
long.
just yeah. Look, no, we don't like to see him on attack, and so who knows? Who knows? He might get reworked, but I think it could be a future defense option once upgraded.
So again, we can jump ahead and say leads it into good. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
yeah. I think
godly, but yeah, for that
not
same
not
reason.
godly,
For the reasons we just sort
good.
of said, because of a core, because she's a 5-star, because ability 11, we could sort of put in that good section. But again, I'd probably say not godly because of the reasons that I said. That if she hits one bot, nah, they're
Yeah,
not very good at all. I'd put that in bad.
yeah,
If she hits your team, then yeah, good. But
yeah. But it's also one of those abilities you can avoid, right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't.
true. Scattershot and Leozak.
Awful.
Yeah. I think just awful bots all around. Really disappointed with
Mhm.
these guys. This, for
Yeah.
me, was around the time of testing when the apes were really, really cautious about the bots they were bringing out. Too cautious. Around the time of Double Dealer.
Yeah.
And they were just sort of too much on the side of caution. And this bot could have been so good. And for me, when you consider combiner bots, when it's a centerpiece, so when you're talking about, the likes of Silverbolt, the likes of Scattershot, the likes of Grimlock, these should be the most OP
Mm.
bots in
Yeah.
that combiner. They are the
Like
leader.
like hotspot. Yeah. Same too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
those
they should be the
important.
best bot, but by far the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, Streetwise and Sinner Twin. Interesting.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a future option. I think I'm gonna put it in bad for now because we sort of. I've got a feeling slowdown is going to play a very big part in our future,
I agree.
and if you're countering it with a defense option that then slows down the attackers, yeah, it's
Yeah, I probably agree with that. I'm interested to see where it goes. I did a video quite a while ago about slowdown being the new meta, and I still stand by that. I still think it will be eventually. Optus Primal and Megs.
Nah, awful.
Yeah. Gladly. I really don't like this guy either. My 5-star I've had for quite a while now, and he's level
I
50,
still can't. I
45.
still can't believe you got 50,000 Shinex into that. That's just a waste.
Snarl and Hunger. Again, it's another
It's
HQ 60 great
yeah.
outpost, but high damage, high health.
I I I I think he's good. Now the
Really?
yeah. Now we put Megatronus, we put Lionizer on him, or put actually it's more Amalgamus. That's Amalgamus plus Lionizer. Look, the SA it's pretty lengthy. Can it be avoided? Yes, but the DPS and the HP solid. So we're kind of on that.
But let's be realistic. You're not going to put Amalgamus on Snarl. You're just not. You're not going to have Snarl in your war team.
But no.
And you're going to have Amalgamus in your war team, so I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it on Snarl by any means.
But we swap cores, right? Sometimes between attacking, right? So you let that matchup
Oh, no.
happen. Takes oh.
I don't. No.
Okay. Look, I just think you got to be flexible and keep your options open. He's not godly by any means, but
No, God no.
But this special class is full of these high health, decent DPS guys. Some of their SAs can be countered or avoided, but you've still then got a pretty beefy op bot to take care of. So that's the only reason.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I was thinking, is he better than Windblade, Afterbreaker, Flame War, and Star Saber? Yeah. Is he as good as Slash and Impactor? No. So again, it's one of them bots that's sort of in between bad and good. He's not a bad option, not quite a good option either, but he's alright. So my man Bumblebee and Scrapnel in an outpost though.
Can be pesky if his attack hits the attackers.
I think it's bad though. Let's be honest. I love.
Yeah, bad. Yeah. Like I said, bad. That their ability still works. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying their
yeah. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, their ability works. Look, it's a melee stun, but low health. Yeah.
And next up, we've got Rhinox and Tarantulas.
Godly.
This guy with his Transmetal Core now.
Oh my lord, so good.
So annoying. I actually started. I dropped points in a side war once, and I couldn't work out really why. I was like, I've faced this space loads of times. I don't see why I'm losing all of a sudden on a launch pad, and it's simply because of his SA11 coupled with the Transmetal Core. Yeah. Crazy good.
So essentially, it's like having two abilities because the Vines first time drain that health, and then the Transmetal Core just amplifies that. So it's like it just hits it again, and man, his health and his DPS are just they're up there. So yeah, he sits on my defense right now, and it's
I think if you've got this guy with the Transmetal Core, ability level maxed out, he is the #1 choice in the game.
Yeah, and
for an outpost,
and even the gold TM core is legit.
Yeah,
right. I'm struggling to get the G medal, so but I'm happy enough with the gold.
Yeah, I'd even go as far as if you've got this guy as a 4-star maxed out with a gold core. I'd give him ability 11 and put him in an outpost for that one reason. Even at that level, I really would, because he's that good. I mean, as a 4-star, would you put the 4-star with a gold Transmetal ability 10, say? In Godly still?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Still in Godly?
Because, like, it's just the basics of such good health, such good DPS, and a double trigger SA. You know, it's because every time you feel like you've got him, or you snipe him with smokescreen, the core just kicks in, and then it's like he's healthy again. So he's starting with another almost 30,000k health bot to deal with. So yeah, this one caught me off guard. Like I remember dropping points, and I was like, what happened? And because it's not an attack that's visually immediate. You know, when he first come on board, and I think we're going to look at a certain other bots later on in a different class, but they just get on you, and because they're not visually direct, like an explosion or whatever, it's a sneaky drain. It's a sneaky life drain, and all of a sudden your medics are gone, your gunners are gone, your low health attackers are just wiped out. And you're like, well, I'm going to time out. I've got no DPS left. So that's why it was crazy.
Mm. Moving on to Optimal Optimus and T2 Megs.
Awful.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you say anything but awful, then I'm gonna override you. Again, a massive beam up on it about these guys that they're just awful in testing. I think was you around for the testing of these guys?
Yeah. I look.
Yeah.
I liked his passive where he punches and freezes an attacker. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
But it's one. It's one. I think it's
yeah, but ability is the big difference for me in all these bots. A bot can be
yes.
half decent, but the ability can really change a bot. I mean, if you take Slash without the ability, pretty awful. Let's be
Yep.
honest. But it's that ability that really, makes a difference, and
Mhm.
that can make or break a bot. And his ability was pretty awful, even on attack and
Yeah.
mind defense. So, Sentius Magnus, Sentius Malus. So again, obviously we're judging a 4-star. So hard to judge just when it's only a 4-star version, but
Look. I'm gonna put good. I mean, look. It does
yeah,
have SA. It does have SA 11. You're doing over 10,000 damage. And it will kind of follow attackers, right? If you happen to kill something, it'll just follow and whatnot.
yeah,
But overall, decent DPS and decent health. So
yeah. I mean, you
just
got to think as well. If people don't have you know, the resources to go and chase the cores and go and chase ability 11, this guy's a good option
yeah,
because you don't need ability 11. You don't need any cores for him. He's only a 4-star, so he's quite easy
yeah.
to obtain. It's a good option, I think, for lower players. A really good option.
A lot of people might put Amalgamus on Sentius because obviously when you're in attack or when the ability is in use, it's 50% less incoming damage to him, right? So from a defense point of view, if he's taken less than half damage and got Amalgamus pumping up 10k out within 10 seconds, he's going to be pretty healthy for at least 10 full seconds. Then you have to start eating to his HP. So yeah, just solid all around, and doesn't require a G1 core.
Yeah, I think when I ran the numbers, I think a maxed out Census does about 16, 18k damage around that end. So
Yeah,
it's a
it's
lot
pretty
for a
accurate.
4-star. I mean, we could sort of again tie in Laser Optimus to this because Laser Optimus was that next step up,
Yeah.
from Census. And does that mean that Laser Optimus goes into Godly
Uh,
because it's an upgrade?
yeah, I think so because it's a few upgrades. It's a 5-star version. We have the G1 core. Um, he sits on my with the SA 11, that extra disc, the stun. It's just like that little bit extra. And I think, to be honest, Sentius, once he eventually gets a 5-star, he's going to be in that godly section as well. And I think you could
Hmm.
add him up. But yeah, for now, Sentius is good, and definitely Lop is a godly. I mean, you'd be silly not to have Lop on your defense.
Rodimus and Motor Master.
No,
So
awful.
yeah, that bad. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not really using that much because I can't really comment too much, but the idea behind it, not really.
It's like I said, it's a different view. When you move from attack to defense, your view will change so sharply, right? Because you're looking to win, right? Like I've got a maxed out Rodimus. I use him sometimes on attack, but I would never even contemplate using him on defense because it doesn't work the same way.
Interesting one, Chromia
Mm,
and Felbat.
Still godly.
I'm glad you said that. I
Yeah.
thought we were gonna have a bit of a discussion about this, but I know it
No.
could be easily countered. But when you're creating a team and doing your cause, and one of your focus points is that, oh, I need to make sure I've got a way to counter Chromia. As a 4-star, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know,
we're talking about you put a 3-star up there. What are you talking about?
yeah, no, yeah, but you're laughing, but seriously, yeah, I
I
would.
know, I know, I know.
I say that to
I
people.
used to have a 3-star on defense. That's saying something, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
Like a 3-star Chrome. And I know people lost their marbles over how
yeah,
overpowered she was, but it was a bit. I don't like it because sometimes when things are new, people haven't learned how to adjust, so they
yeah.
lose their minds. And once they learn how to adapt, they just go quiet. You're like, oh, but it's the same bot. Oh, but I've learned how to use a hologram. I've used a smoke screen. I have rat trap. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's anti stun options. Red alert, obviously everyone's, So there's just, as you said, when you have counters to everything, you can't carry everything, but it's up to you to, um, if your team maps out from a Pathfinder, you're not going in blind. You can prepare yourself for a war battle. Obviously, when you're just going for a normal Zen or a PvP raid, that's harder, yeah, because you don't know what's out there. So it's more about building a balanced team. But when we're talking wars, obviously, if you're not confident and Chromia is a bot that can really mess your team up, let someone else go first. See if she's out there. I guarantee she's probably out there because
Yeah.
just but
Easy
where,
option.
right? Like, yeah, it's just mattering where in the layout she sits, and then you decide what countermeasures do you have that can be used. So the fact that you're thinking about one particular bot, it's a no-brainer, godly option.
Next up, Hound, Vamp, and Soundwave Hiss.
Awful.
Yeah. The less said about these guys, the better. Absolutely awful
Yeah.
bots.
Not
Ultra Magnus and Galvatron.
No, for me, I think it's awful.
I was going to say, is awful too harsh? Are we talking from Ultra Magnus or Galvatron? Because Galvatron's obviously a bit better than Ultra Magnus, but is it awful or bad? Or I mean, I'm not saying it should be bad. I don't know. Is it really that bad? It's got good health. It did quite a bit of damage.
Maybe we're just so tainted from the attacking side
Yeah,
of
I'm thinking
these
that
bots.
because I'd put him the same as Windblade, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean,
In terms
look,
of health and damage.
The attack works, decent DPS, decent health. Okay, bad is fine, but I think we have an awful mindset regarding these bots.
Yeah.
All good.
Rust Dust and Scavenger.
For me, it's bad, and this is a similar thing to Afterbreaker, where it's a scout class, has a melee stun, the SA works, but the health is low, and the low health is the killer for me.
Cheeto and Black Arachnia.
So this is a HQ16 godly defense bot.
Yeah. Is it? I want to say it's a bad option though. I think if you're a low-level player,
see, that's the thing.
a good option.
I was contemplating. Do I say bad? Like, because I just wouldn't even think about. But I see it. I see it on defense. So I think good because it is. Like, if you don't, if you just play absolutely dumb, it will chew your team. Yeah, well, it still will, right? Like, that's it.
If you're dumb, this is a good outpost part. If your attacker is dumb, okay.
Right. But you know what I mean, because it's like the health isn't super great, right? So you're really relying on the SA to do the body of the work, and it's like, but it can be countered pretty easily, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, is it bad? Because you can counter it very, very easily, right? Like, I used to just throw Silver Bolt at him. It's done. You know what I mean? Like,
very similar to Snarl, but lower health.
Yeah.
Similar in a way to Slash, but not invisible, not as much damage. So I'd say good to bad, but I'd say more on the side of good because for lower level players, it's a good option.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking again.
Yeah. We should probably talk about Beast Wars Prowl next, I think.
That's a good shout. Would we time in the same? Good to bad? Good?
Yes, I think so. This is one of those things, like, if you got them at the same time, they're not that different, to be honest, and they're on the same wavelength of stats, the abilities a little bit. So, if you put Amalgamus on either of them, they're going to last a lot longer. They chew through stuff, but yeah, they both got that melee stun kind of thing, scout class. Yeah, I mean, we see that around many bots. You're like, when it comes out, like, oh, that looks like such and such, or that's a fusion of his ability and his ability, and it's like, so many things are comparable, and when Beast Wars Proud come, you're like, oh, is that like a cheater again, 2.0? So just not that much better.
Yeah, I agree. Goldbug, SG, Shockwave. Awful.
Awful, yeah. Unfortunately, from a defense perspective, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, 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 very situational, and then Yeah, the fact that it doesn't do, any damage, it's just, yeah,
Yeah,
awful.
it's awful. Let's just not talk about it.
Yeah. Huffer and Lockdown. So I used to campaign for this guy to be better and
Yeah,
get buffed, and I like the idea of his ability, but I just think it doesn't do enough damage.
that's what it is. He has good health for the tank. Obviously, lower
Yeah,
DPS is standard thing. His ability to shoot, like you've got a tower that shoots, but
yeah.
now it's a very long ability, up to 45 seconds, right? So,
Mm,
but it can be destroyed, and it just doesn't have enough oomph behind it to really make you
yeah.
worry about it. So,
Bad,
yeah,
awful.
bad. Look, I'll put him bad because it ticks two of the main criteria of a defense bot, but just it's not enough to go any higher.
Mm. Optimus Prime and Megatron. The
Personally, that's awful.
leaders.
Awful.
Yeah, we're not pulling anyone in, and doesn't do any damage as such. Does a bit of damage,
No.
but not enough. So yeah,
Yeah.
shame, but yeah, shame. Perceptor and Bombshell.
For me,
Hmm.
that's awful. Unfortunately, the abilities just don't.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love my Percy, but from a defense perspective, no. You know, you're not really hacking, and your inbuilt liege ain't really doing a whole lot. So yeah, it doesn't leave you with much.
Hmm. Grimlock and Razorclaw.
I'll say bad because decent health, okay DPS, the ability works, and it's going to take you a little bit of time to handle them. But it's nothing more than that. It's nothing flashy.
Yeah, yeah, a bit like a Windblade again. A bit of damage, decent
Yeah, with that
health,
shield.
but not gonna do much really. Punch and counter punch.
Yeah, look, I tried it because I use punch a fair bit. You kind of expect to hack the whole team when he pops because he's throwing multiple grenades, but it just doesn't work the way that you'd hope. So for me, I'm going to put him in awful.
Yeah, it's a shame. I actually like this guy as a character. Um, I liked him when he came out, but like you said, with the FFD cores and a couple of indirect nerfs, then
Yeah.
yeah, all of a sudden now he's not as
Mm.
good as he could have been or should have been or whichever way you want to think of it. But yeah, he's not very good. I'd definitely say that. Blur and Runabout. Is it Runabout? Runamuck, actually. I
Very
always
much.
mix up with the two.
Mm.
Runamuck. Yeah,
Either way, from a defense, no, awful.
awful as well. Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's. Uh, or should I? Or maybe is it a bad? It doesn't.
I don't know. Low health.
Like,
The hollow doesn't do much.
yeah, it's
So,
it's one of those things.
I don't
We
know.
say well, it's bad because I wouldn't use it, but then when you take a deeper look, what are you getting? And it's the stats and ability don't even want to make me use it on defense, and yet it's such a
Yeah.
powerful offense bot, right? And
Yeah.
this is the thing. It's such a 180 when you're thinking about defense that you have to think about what you're putting out there a lot more. And yeah, Blur's just not doing it for me.
Hot Rod and Nemesis Prime.
Now
Hmm.
this might surprise you, but I'm borderline putting that on Godly.
What?
Yeah.
Godly? I mean, I was gonna say maybe good, but godly? Why?
Well, I mean, SA11. It's not when you now we spoke about this off air, but I'll put you a situation, right? Let's put the shield generator there. Let's put the MDSs there. We've got the self repair cores on the MDS. Now we have a nearby healing build bot. When you have him pop out and he protects one of those MDS in a very key kill box or spot in your layout for 16 seconds, that thing cannot be killed. We know how important an MDS is on defense, and it's a prime target to remove as soon as possible. People just throwing points at it left, right, and center. Can't be hacked. When you can't kill that MDS, that will cause so much trouble. So perhaps maybe not godly, but so good that is borderline godly when used
S-
correctly.
See, the problem there is, I don't think you can accurately use that where it's going to pop the outpost and
Mm.
it will protect the MDS. It's
It depends.
not that
It
accurate.
well,
It might,
it
it
can
might, it
be.
might protect a turret. Do you know what I mean? With
Well,
anti-air, which is useless, and or it might protect an outpost bot. But then you drop the combiner, and it doesn't make any difference. That's for me. It's I agree. It could be used like that, and if it does, it's going to be a nightmare. But it's very situational. There's
if
no guarantee with it.
I only say that because I've seen this in action in top wars, and it has devastated top players. So it catches them off guard because it's not attacking the bots per se and protecting a defense and a very important defense structure. And this comes down to how you build your base. I understand you may think you don't know the proximity, you don't know the target, but if you keep certain defenses away a certain distance, it can only protect an MDS potentially if set up correctly. Just, I take my word for it. If set up correctly, this thing can be godly. So look, let's just put it in God, and I'll let people work it out how to use it.
Okay, I will say godly with the thing of I need to do a video on this and find out myself. And then moving on to Cup and Dead End, the best levelers in the game.
Yeah.
Awful on
No.
attack though, apart from if you're doing a back door. But
Yes. Look, I'm gonna say bad because
I would have said awful.
I was
I mean,
borderline awful.
not good health. I mean, they jump and they got a bit of a shield, but they haven't got the health of Windblade. You
No,
know.
and the shield, yeah. No, I agree now. Yeah, awful. Awful is more appropriate, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we could just squeeze him at the end there, but yeah, pretty awful. Interesting one for me. Red Alert and Runamuck.
Yeah, I mean, if you read the description and you try to be like, well, 100% damage absorption from him, but then gives the protection to surrounds. I don't know. I don't
Well,
rate him highly at all.
well, I'll
I'm
just
just
say what happened to me the other day, and then you can sort of make our minds up.
yeah,
So I was in a low-level war, pretty much. Nothing crazy. I was sacking without a combiner, and I popped an outpost. I wasn't paying much attention, to be fair. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be a pretty easy base. And then I popped the combiner, used sea spray, and nothing happened. I was like, all right, use Bumblebee. Nothing. I was like, what? And all the base was glowing. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why? I was baffled. And then worked it out. It was simple because Runamuck or Red Alert was in the outpost, and
yeah.
it just negated every single bit of damage I did. And again, took me a bit by surprise. I mean, not obviously level hot rod, but in that essence, that I was like, because I wasn't prepared for it. I was like, oh wow, like that
Yes.
was pretty good. But again, like Chromia, once you got used to it, then yeah, you're gonna negate it quite easily. But I was quite surprised at how actually good it was. So thinking like, maybe I would do that, you know, especially for sack players. If it's gonna, protect all your outpost bots, if you're gonna sack and pop all the outposts, then they're gonna pop. If you're gonna pop combiner, then yeah, it's gonna negate it like a lot of other attacks. But if not, it's gonna be quite difficult to deal with if all your outpost bots and defenses have a damage absorption.
For sure. Now, obviously, we talk about the higher end wars versus the medium to lower end tiers.
Yeah,
It's
true.
like, um, really, only one person should ever be surprised because they're going in blind. Um, this just comes down to, I suppose, networking and communicating within your teams. Be like, hey, I ran, all of a sudden the base was glowing and I didn't do any damage. And then your teammates should be like, what? And then, you start that discussion. But yeah, I mean, intriguing my interest. I still probably wouldn't put him on my defense because it's sort of at that level where it's godly or bust.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
But I'm just thinking, instead of a time trap, You know, we talked about forcing people to use their combiner early. I wouldn't like to go up against a time trap that has red alert on defense, giving my defenses and outpost bots a damage absorption for 15 seconds. That would make me think I could time out here.
Yeah.
And the combiner does negate it, but then it does negate everything. So, you know, I don't
Right.
think we can really use that as an excuse. It negates Laser Optimus, negates Rhinox to a degree, not the both thing, but then that's why it's so good. You know, it negates Chromia, it negates so many bots, the combiner, so it's hard to really use that as a, you know, a counter for why it's not good. But if you were going in without a combiner,
That's trouble. Definitely. 15 seconds is not long in terms of 3 minutes 30 at the
yeah,
start of a battle.
yeah,
But but it's like, how many times have you seen people say, "Oh, one more 2 hits on the on the HQ. Oh,
yeah,
five more seconds." You're like, well, like, why are you even at that point?
yeah.
like,
And a gunner, you know, a gunner sort of like range combat with good health as well. So it adds that sort
yeah,
of, you know, it got me thinking a bit when I used him. I was a bit
intriguing.
like,
Yeah, look, I think you've
yeah.
got me my interest peaked here. I might have to do some trials.
Yeah, I think I might start using Hot Rod, and you can start using Run Alert. Red Alert.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that. I
yeah,
like
I was
that.
intrigued by it, like you said. When I started thinking about it, I was like, that's actually not too bad. Again, I wouldn't say godly. I wouldn't say them heights, but I think it can go in the good section. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've both got a little weekend project ahead of us.
Well, again, I've not used him. It's just that when I came up against that base, I was like, well, that's a surprise. And again, I think sometimes you got to think outside the box because so many people have No, Blaster, Rhinox, Laser Optimus. As soon as they sort of pop out, you're like, right, I know what I've got to do here. I know I've got to
Yeah,
counter that. When you do see Hot Rod, you're like, oh, well, that's a bit left field. You know, and it
yeah,
does stick out. When you do see Red Alert, you're like, oh, that's a bit strange. You know, all these bots in the good and godless section, other than them two, we've seen thousands of times in Outposts, whether it
yeah,
be HU16 or 17. We've
yeah.
seen them, and we're like, yeah, we know what we're doing with that. You know, whereas that, I mean, you know, again, there's some of them bots in the awful or even the bad section where they popped out. You'd be like, oh, well, that's a bit, you know, Bumblebee could probably take it by surprise. But again, it's
Yeah.
that health. That health really lacks afterwards. Whereas Red
You,
Alert's got that. You know.
you know, it was like the first time seeing Brainstorm on defense, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
Things like that. They're like, who even is that? Because obviously they're not
yeah,
recognizing Skyhawk or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's blah blah blah, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, all of a sudden, half my team was slowed down, and it is. It's when the new bots are introduced, people learn how to use them inside and out, attack and defense, changing different cores, different combats, and things start to work, right? And that's what I love about this is strategy. This is what you want, right? Like,
yeah,
so that's why in testing, right, we push, or I know I like to push heavy on not just a bot being good for attack, but when it ticks that box of defense, man, I think that's a really great bot when it's come out because
yeah,
it's just the versatility of, I want to use it not just on attack, or I might just want to use it on defense. But sometimes when a new bot does get released, it's either going to be attack or defense. You know, it's kind of, you can't change how the bot works, and sometimes that kind of, I don't like it because yeah, you got to play both sides of the field. So why not make a bot that's both?
yeah. But what I like about this class is that you can see right now that there's a good mix. There's some godly bots, a few good ones, a few bad ones, and a few awful ones. We've seen in previous videos where it was loads of bad ones, loads of awful ones, and a few godly ones. So looking back, don't want to give too much away, but in the air class, it looks like we could do with a good air class outpost bot.
Defense,
You
yeah.
know, it looks like we're sort of crying out for that. Whereas in terms of special bots, we've pretty much got some good options. We don't need to really have many more special bots on God on defense. So maybe Space 8 need to look at some air class defense bots and look at these ratings videos hopefully and go like, yeah, this is missing in the game. There's something here. There's a category we've sort of missed out and done a bit of injustice we can look at, and hopefully a
I
new
think
bot when it comes out we can look at that.
I think potentially our next stream it might cover what you've just talked about.
Maybe, maybe. And if you want to know what that is, best way to find out is subscribe, guys, to never miss another video. to make sure you get the lowdown on mine and Tex's future videos. There's plenty more to come, and we've even said that we do this all year now. We're half through the year, and once it comes towards the end of the year, we're going to look back at these videos and how much they've changed, over the year. Because I've said about some of these HQ16 bots are no longer relevant. Some bots will go up, some will go down. Yet to be seen. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm sure Tex will join us again next year to go through all these. But for now, there's gonna be loads more videos coming. We're rating the warriors in the game, triple changes, healers. We've got the cores as well to go through. So plenty more to go through. So stay tuned. But as always, big thanks to Tex. Big shout out to Tex for joining me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, pleasure always.
And I look forward to the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Hit a like of the video and peace out.